Do we know the real problem? Part 1. The young boy has been standing there with his finger in the dike for some time now. He was walking past the dike the other day and realized that there was a hole and water was seeping out. He called for help, but no one was around. He knew that if he didn't plug the hole, that the dike would break and flood the village. He did the only thing he could think to do. He found a large flat rock, dragged it over to the dike, then stepped on the stone and put his finger in the dike. He was able to slow but not completely stop the leak. He thought to himself, now what? People walked by and said, "Nice job, kid. Keep up the good work, young man," and kept walking. No one offered any help or any suggestions. Those who were in a position of authority and able to help decided that this problem was being addressed and moved on to solving the issues of, like, banning plastic straws. The argument was that this issue was also water related. The boy's finger was becoming numb. Should he pull his finger out and swap fingers? How does this end for the boy? It ends the only way that it could. Since no one else seemed to care whether or not the dike broke, he came to the natural conclusion that he shouldn't care either. He removed his finger and immediately ran up the hill to higher ground. The hole increased in size. More water flowed from the hole until inevitably the dike burst. The village downstream was wiped out. Thousands were impacted. In the days that followed, people could be heard saying, "I had no idea the dike was in such poor condition." Of course, these are the same people who patted the boy's head and said, "Good job, son," but never offered to help. You're probably familiar with this old tale of the Dutch boy. Did you ever think about it in the broader context? I'm pretty sure that you don't, because you're living your own lives, and that's understandable. However, over the next few columns, and I have no idea how many it's going to take to tell this story, I'm going to try to address the impossible task of how we address or don't address the problems that underscore Vermont's homelessness crisis. This will not be fun, and it's going to make you as uncomfortable as it's made me. But it's a story that not only needs to be told, but understood. To better understand the problem, it'll be helpful to start with the symptoms. First, untreated mental illness, a major root cause of all of the other symptoms surrounding the perplexing problems of poverty, homelessness, and drug use is mental illness. Vermont would like to think that it's doing a lot towards addressing mental illness, but as you'll learn over the next few columns, the effort being put forth is only the tip of the iceberg. Not all paths of Vermont underground unwanted society lead to the issues of mental illness, but it's fair to say that many of them do. Next, homelessness. We focus on homelessness as the problem we must solve. Yes, sure, it's important. But if Vermont built all the housing we need for those less fortunate, would that end the game? Would we all live happily ever after once we knew that homeless people had a nice place to live? Nice try. That would make us the people who walked by the boy and patted his head and said, "Nice job, kid." Addressing the housing is only one small spoke of the wheel of the problem. Drugs. In July of 1984, Nancy Reagan uttered the phrase, "Just say no to drugs." That was 41 years ago, and what an impact has that had? Somewhere between not much and none. Seriously addictive drugs are easier to obtain now than pot was 40 years ago. We've been woefully unsuccessful in stopping drugs from entering our society. Although there was a decrease in drug overdoses in 24, it's still worse than it was 40 years ago. Some thinks that by blowing up some Venezuelan boats we're addressing the drug situation. That's laughable. The most dangerous drugs apparently come from China and Mexico. However, drug use is another symptom, but not the underlying problem. In 2000, Michael Douglas played a newly appointed drug czar, Robert Wakefield, in the movie Traffic. He was meant to deliver a prepared, hardline speech about the government's success and future strategies in the war on drugs. As he read his speech, he realized the hypocrisy of his position, while his own daughter was a heroin addict. He abandons his prepared remarks and delivers the line below and walks away from the podium, effectively resigning. His last words to Congress were, "If there is a war on drugs, then many of our family members are the enemy. And I don't know how you wage war on your own family." I am honored to have my old friend and former colleague, Will Hunter, assist me in this series that I'm writing. Thank you very much, Will. I'm Bob Stannard, and again, this is The View from My Place. Thanks for watching.